Hey, YCIS students, Mr. Hackman again for another assembly time for secondary. I hope you had a good weekend. And hey, we've got a short week this week. That's always good. We've got a couple holidays coming up on Thursday and Friday. Thank you so much for those of you that responded, not only about appreciating the Live On video that I showed in last week's assembly, but for sharing some of the things that you've done to kind of enrich yourself during this or during the Easter break. It was really good to hear some of your feedback, and I know that we're kind of all in the same boat. We're all trying to work through this coronavirus issue together. I'm trying to think of a topic that I could share with you this week. And not too long ago, one of the teachers, the YCIS teachers, often I'll have things sent to me as considerations of things I can use in assembly. And somebody sent me a video, which I'm going to show shortly, really just talking about dignity, how we give dignity to others, and a social enterprise that's operating here in Hong Kong that's giving dignity to one of the marginalized people groups here in Hong Kong. But we'll get to that in just a moment. I if you're unfamiliar with the term dignity, just as a refresher, it's a state or quality of being worthy of honor or respect. Just as human beings, we are worthy of having dignity, of having respect. And I should distinguish a little bit between respect and dignity. There's some crossover, and it would be wrong to say that there's not some overlap on some of the definitions. But by and large, respect is something through your achievements or something you have done that you earn respect. You know, if you've given time to some kind of endeavor, or you've worked through and you've pushed through and you've achieved something, obviously we tend to respect and give respect to people who have done certain achievements, as opposed to just to dignity. As a human being, you have the inherent right to be treated ethically, that you are a human, and that alone gives you the right to be treated respectfully. So again, just a slight difference there, but help you to kind of understand the difference that we're looking for here. We're really going to concentrate on dignity and why we need to have dignity expanded through the earth, because there's, as I'm going to share in a moment, there is a tendency in human history to try to take dignity away from people so that it gives us the right to maybe discriminate against them, or to kind of insert our will over others. And throughout history, not just history, but even today, some of the traditionally marginalized groups, and this is not meant to be a exhaustive list that we're listing every marginalized group in which dignity is often taken away, but obviously racial and cultural minorities, that historically as well as today is happening all the time. Women, although great advances particularly in the developed world have happened with bringing about equality between men and women, historically women have been marginalized and still continue to be so. And members of the LGBT community, obviously, the physically and mentally disabled community, people who are homeless or living in poverty. Traditionally, we've tend to try to silence their voices and not allow them a seat at the table. And again, this can take different forms of marginalization and stealing of dignity. Sometimes it can be passive aggressive, where we don't really vocally or very visibly discriminate. It can be very subtle. It can be in small ways that we can take people's dignity away from them in subtle ways, or it can be very overt. It can be overt racism. It can be overt discrimination of various different ways. And when we marginalize people, we steal their dignity. And once we've removed their dignity, it gives us the ability to discriminate against them. I mean, often when we try to take someone's humanity away from them, if we look at during the time of World War II in Nazi Germany, with what Adolf Hitler did with the Jewish community living in Germany, very well documented. But over the process of months and even a few years before World War II started, he started putting in the minds of the German people at the time that the Jewish people were not quite human. and they were subhuman. And he doesn't do it all at once. It's a slow massaging that idea into the community, which eventually gives them the right to take their dignity away from them, and then ultimately to discriminate against them. And then it leads to all of the horrors that happened to the Jewish people during World War II. Obviously, that is an extreme example, but this is the kind of thing that happens. We start to use language towards people that dehumanizes them. And when we dehumanize them, we steal their dignity. And when we've stolen someone's dignity, it gives us the right we feel to be able to treat them in an inhumane manner. And this is the kind of thing that has plagued humanity throughout pretty much all of our history. And slowly, I think we're awakening to the fact that this is not the kind of people we want to be. But I think we always have to be on guard of finding ourselves in situations when we feel we have the right to be able to discriminate against a certain people. And of course, obviously, coming from the Christian and Community Development Division, I want to bring a Christian perspective in on this. And one of the reasons I am a follower of Jesus is because of the example he gives in giving dignity to others. Jesus came into a historical time that was hugely patriarchal. And by patriarchal, what that means is men and males were given the primary favoritism in society. Husbands, fathers, men were the predominant guiders of the structure, and women were not given that same level. That was slavery was an accepted practice in Jesus's time. There was a lot of discrimination against people with physical and mental disabilities. I could go on and on. Jesus comes in at a time, and through his teachings and through his example, he gives dignity to others around him. There's the very famous story of the Good Samaritan, and it's about a Jewish man, one of their own people, who he gives a figurative story, a man who is attacked by robbers and left for dead on the side of the road. And a couple of his fellow countrymen come by, and they don't want to deal with him. And so they ignore him, and they go to the other side of the road, and they keep passing by. And then a Samaritan comes, and this doesn't mean a lot to us today, but a Samaritan was the foreigner. It was the one that their local group despised. This is someone who we as a group have a permission to marginalize. We can all agree as a group that the Samaritans are bad people. Nobody should trust the Samaritans. But in Jesus' story, a Samaritan comes by, sees the man on the street, gives him, bandages, tends to his wounds, takes him to an inn, tells the innkeeper, hey, listen, let him rest here, pays for his stay there, and takes care of him. And then Jesus asks, who's the neighbor? And really what Jesus is saying is, these people who you've taken dignity away from, often if you see them through a different lens, you'd see they're as worthy of dignity as our own people, that all people have this right to be treated with respect and with just basic human kindness. This example gets played out multiple times in Jesus's interactions with others and in the teachings and stories that he would share. So anyhow, I wanted to share a video with you about something here in Hong Kong. And it's about a social enterprise, a restaurant started by a man in Mong Kok that hires people who have physical or mental disabilities. And the whole desire of this social enterprise, this startup restaurant, is to give dignity to people who have traditionally had their dignity taken from them. We tend to do that, not just in Hong Kong, but other societies. People with mental and physical disabilities, we tend to marginalize, we tend to take away their dignity to greater and lesser degrees. And this is just a beautiful story of someone giving dignity to someone else. Please enjoy.
If a person look beyond themselves, look beyond money, look beyond relationship, they find something very special. It's called kindness.
我哋逆境扣除人呢個應該全香港獨一無二，可以有呢個地方俾我哋自己發揮。
雖然我哋唔係最好，但係我哋係最做力嘅一個，我哋係最珍惜呢份工作嘅一班人。
We don't look at their disability, we look at their ability. My name is Koh Seng Chun. I'm from Singapore. I'm the founder of Project Dignity. The purpose of Dignity Kitchen is a training center, cookfood center. And the idea of it is to create employment for people who are disabled. In Singapore, we've been operating for 10 over years now. We train and place over thousands of Singaporeans in the last 10 years.
How you do it? 佢要用影嘛？
We started this because I think we can replicate the model to help Hong Kong people with disability and disadvantage.
My name is Raymond Choi， 我就負責納士南啦，即係椰漿飯嗰個部門，即係小兒麻痹嗰啲，即係當時嗰個年代就好盛行噶嘛。跟住因為我個身體比較虛弱，所以發燒啊，咁啊冇打到就出咗呢個毛病出嚟咯。因為我從來都未做過飲食嘅，所以就唔知自己適唔適合啦。但係做落去都幾好做，即係啱自己噶啦。因為出邊嗰啲香港嘅地方空間係有限，好擠迫噶嘛。跟住做嘅嘢速度又要快，又要冇好似呢度比較即係適合我哋即係行動不便嘅人就可以有一技之長啦。
So what we do is that we take them for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. We train them in culinary skill. We teach them how to cook and in-service support.
咁我叫歐陽毅希啦，咁我就喺呢度做呢個餅房。我係精神病康復者，係啦，咁患病都15年以上嘅都係啊。點解我會滴起心機去揾工去做咧？有一次我又精神又唔好啦，跟住我又想去自殺啦。原來我係要有啲嘢要我去挑戰，有啲嘢要我去做，我先會開心㗎。原來唔係我去偷懶，唔係我去放棄自己飲酒，係當我做到個蛋糕有人食，話好食嗰時候，我唔介意，我企咗半個鐘頭做一個傻仔喺度望住個蛋糕幾時出爐。雖然我哋係一啲殘疾人士，但係每個人都做佢哋唔同嘅專長。有其他同事好叻做喇沙嘅，有啲同事好叻做海南雞飯嘅。咁我只不過係其中嘅一 part。
We have 39 people working here. 31 of them are people with disability. And you will see here, they all can manage a store. How do we do it? We pay them cash. Money is the best motivator. If they don't come, they don't get paid. They don't listen, they don't get paid. We don't give you stars and marks and all that kind of thing. We actually give you money. So the purpose is after train, we must give them gainful employment. We are hoping that by year 1, we hope to place 60 of them.
我學咗好實用，即係起碼你知道製作食物嘅過程啊，同埋出品啊。
我係跟老細學到一樣佢嗰樣嘢執着。點解做到人哋做到，點解我做唔到？點解出邊做到我點解做唔到？但老細從來冇講一句啊。佢話你去試啦，你試到呢個係你自己㗎，呢個 skill 係你自己啊。
You know, Hong Kong people are very hardworking. Hong Kong people are very resilient. You can see the transformation. They make friends. They engage with people. They talk to public. Some of them they haven't done this in their life. I mean, looking back, I think it was a very tough project. But the biggest challenge was the demonstration. I was at Mong Kok MTR. People were smashing the thing and walking around. My entrance, it was burned down. And that was the one time I told myself, I can really help you guys. Because the people that are losing a job are the people who are disabled and disadvantaged. And that's what I did. I decided to carry on. After the incident the last 6 months, we now face another challenge. If you look around here, there's not much walking. Because of coronavirus, people not coming out. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my wife asked me to stop. But what they don't understand is 39 people are depending on me and my people to keep them going. I'm not finished yet. I promise to train these people. Kindness is blind to the color of your skin and the nature of your disability. Kindness cannot be preached. It comes from the heart.
That video just really captures someone who has a heart to give dignity to the community. And you could just see those people there. They so much get a sense of identity from the job that they're doing there. They have a sense of worth. And this man is bringing them an opportunity to feel that sense of worth. And this is not the only social enterprise operating in Hong Kong. Not too long ago, I was invited to lunch at Cafe 8. Cafe 8 is on Hong Kong Island at the Central Ferry Piers there. Next to Star Ferry, which is Pier 7, there's Pier 8, and at the top of that is Cafe 8. That cafe up there, and I can recommend it as a social enterprise that's doing a very similar work. They hire people who have mental and physical disabilities in order to give them a sense of worth and to give them dignity. Anyhow, in closing, for this week's reflection question, I want you to consider something, and I don't know how much you want to maybe visibly write some of these things. I encourage you to do what you can on this, but I also want you to reflect on something maybe a little more internal than external, a little more something examining your heart than what you actually write down or type in to Google Classroom. But what way could you show dignity to a marginalized person or group this week? Is there, for example, is there someone being bullied? And I know we're not on campus right now, but even online bullying, is there someone you know that's being marginalized by others, maybe fellow students, that you could support, that you could help bring dignity to that person? Or is there a group of people that you could help give dignity to this week? Often Filipino or Indonesian helpers who are doing so much work during this coronavirus situation in Hong Kong to really keep families going, and they're doing so much, and yet I still hear comments, or there's little things that we can say or do to elevate ourselves over someone else, and when we do that, we steal their dignity. What could you do to affirm their dignity this week? Or could it be someone who's disabled around you, someone who's suffering from a mental illness condition? Is there other Hong Kong minorities that you are part of your network in some capacity, that you could go the extra mile, that you could make the extra effort to give them dignity, to show them their humanity, and to treat them with equality? It's so very important if we're going to make this world a better place. Anyhow, I hope this has been a good week for you, and look forward to catching up with you again next week. Just want to close with a prayer. I think given our topic for today, I'd like to close with the prayer of St. Francis. And that goes like this: Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. And where there is indignity, I hope you sow dignity this week. God bless you all. Have a great week, and enjoy your extended long weekend. See you back here next week. Bye-bye.